I wasn't supposed to be on that road. My GPS had glitched earlier in the evening, rerouting me off the highway onto a narrow two-lane stretch that cut straight through miles of empty land. At first, I didn't mind. I'd been driving for hours, and the silence felt like a relief. No streetlights, no houses, just my headlights carving a thin tunnel through the dark. The road went on forever, flat and featureless, with fields on both sides that looked like they had no end. After about 30 minutes, I realized something was wrong. I hadn't passed a single sign. No mile markers, no exits, not even a mailbox. I checked the dashboard clock. Time was moving normally. The fuel gauge wasn't dropping faster than it should. Everything looked fine, except the road never changed. I rolled down the window, half expecting to hear insects or wind, but the night outside was unnaturally quiet, like sound didn't travel properly out there. I tried turning around. I slowed down, checked my mirrors, and made a careful U-turn. As soon as my headlights swung the other way, my stomach dropped. The road behind me looked exactly the same as the one ahead, straight, endless, swallowed by darkness. I drove for another 10 minutes, then another 20. Nothing changed. No intersections, no landmarks, just the hum of my engine and the white lines slipping under my car. That's when I noticed the building. It stood far off to the right, barely visible in my peripheral vision, a dark shape against darker land. No lights, no fence, just a low structure, maybe a gas station or an abandoned rest stop. I slowed down, watching it pass my window. A minute later, it was gone. I kept driving. Then, 15 minutes later, I saw it again. Same building, same shape, same distance from the road. My chest tightened. I sped up, then slowed down, watching carefully this time. The building didn't move closer. It didn't get farther away. It stayed exactly where it was, as if the road itself was sliding past it on a loop. I told myself I was tired, that my eyes were playing tricks on me. But when I checked my phone, I had no signal, no map, no location, just the time and a battery that was slowly draining. I pulled over. The moment I stepped out of my car, the silence felt heavier. The air smelled dry and stale, like dust that hadn't been disturbed in years. I could see my car clearly, but beyond the reach of my headlights, the land dissolved into nothing. I called out, my voice sounding wrong, flat, like it didn't echo the way it should. No response. That's when I heard footsteps. Not close, not far. Somewhere out there in the dark, matching my breathing. I froze, listening. The footsteps stopped when I stopped. I whispered, "Hello." My voice cracked. The footsteps didn't answer. They just waited. I got back into the car and drove. At some point, exhaustion blurred everything together. The road, the darkness, the building reappearing again and again on my right. Eventually, I saw headlights ahead, real ones, moving. I nearly cried with relief. As I got closer, I realized it was a police cruiser parked sideways across the road. I pulled up fast and jumped out, waving my arms. The officer stepped out looking confused. I told him everything at once, getting lost, the looping road, the building, the silence. He listened without interrupting. When he finished, he glanced down the road behind me. He said, "There's no road back there." I laughed, thinking he was joking. He wasn't. According to him, I'd been found parked on a service access strip that ended miles ago. No buildings, no long stretch of highway, no loop, just empty land. He asked me how long I thought I'd been driving. I checked the clock. 5 hours had passed. I don't drive at night anymore. And whenever I'm on a road with nothing on either side, I get this overwhelming urge to keep going because I'm terrified of what might happen if I stop again. I was driving through the desert just after sunset, heading west with nothing but a half tank of gas and a deadline I was already going to miss. I'd taken this route before, long, empty highways cutting through miles of scrub and rock, but that evening felt different. The sky darkened too fast, the orange fading into deep purple in a way that made the road ahead feel narrower than it should have been. My radio lost signal, dropping into static, and my GPS froze with the blue arrow blinking in place like it didn't know where to put me. I kept driving. About an hour later, I saw lights ahead. Real ones, street lights, neon, a town. Relief washed over me so quickly it almost felt physical. I hadn't seen a sign announcing it, but I didn't question it. Out there, you take what you can get. As I got closer, the road widened, the asphalt smoother, the lights brighter. A single sign stood at the edge of town, rusted and barely readable. I couldn't make out the name, just the word welcome. The streets were empty. No cars, no people. Every storefront was lit, but the windows were dark, like the lights were on just for show. I parked near what looked like a diner, the neon sign buzzing softly. When I stepped out of my car, the air felt wrong, too still, too dry. My footsteps echoed louder than they should have, bouncing off buildings that looked decades old but somehow untouched by time. I tried the diner door, locked. So was the gas station and the motel. Every place looked open, but nothing would let me in. I walked down the street, calling out, my voice sounding thin and out of place. No answer, no movement. Even the neon signs didn't flicker naturally. They pulsed together, slowly, like they were breathing. That's when I noticed the clocks. Every building had one, above doors, in windows, hanging crooked on walls. All of them showed the same time, 9:42. My phone said it was just after 11. I checked again. No signal, no map, just the time ticking forward, second by second, while the clocks around me stayed frozen. I turned back toward my car. It wasn't where I left it. The street looked longer now, stretching farther in both directions. The buildings seemed closer together, leaning inward slightly, as if the town was tightening around me. I started walking faster, then jogging, my breath coming sharp and fast. I passed the diner again. Same buzzing sign, same locked door. The clocks still read 9:42. Panic set in. I ran. No matter which way I turned, the streets looped back into the same central strip. My chest burned, my legs ached, and the silence pressed in until it felt unbearable. Finally, exhausted, I stopped in the middle of the road and screamed. Not words, just sound. Something answered. Not a voice, a shift. The lights dimmed slightly, and for the first time I noticed shadows moving behind the windows. Not people, just shapes, sliding slowly across the walls, as if something inside the buildings was adjusting itself. I backed away, shaking. That's when the clocks changed. All at once, every clock ticked forward. 9:43. I don't know why, but that terrified me more than anything else. I closed my eyes, took a breath, and opened them again. The town was gone. I was standing on the side of the highway, my car parked exactly where it should have been, engine cold. No lights, no buildings, just desert stretching out under a star-filled sky. My phone buzzed a signal return, notifications flooding in. According to the time, I'd been stopped for less than 5 minutes. I drove the rest of the way without stopping. Weeks later, curiosity got the better of me. I searched maps, old records, satellite images. There was no town there, never had been. But sometimes, when I'm driving at night and see lights in the distance, all lined up too perfectly, I feel my foot ease off the gas. Because I know now that not every place you find is meant to be entered. Some places only exist when you're already lost. I was driving home after a night shift, exhausted, barely keeping my eyes open, when my GPS suddenly rerouted me off the main highway. It claimed this way was faster. I didn't question it. The road narrowed, the streetlights disappeared, and my signal dropped to 0. Trees closed in on both sides like a tunnel, their branches scraping the roof of my car. After 10 minutes, I realized something was wrong. I'd been driving straight, but the same broken signpost with peeling white paint kept appearing again and again. I slowed down, my stomach tightening, and that's when I noticed the silence. No insects, no wind. Even my engine sounded muted, like it was being swallowed by the dark. I tried turning around, but the road behind me was gone. Just trees, thick and endless where asphalt should have been. Panic set in. I stepped out of the car, phone flashlight shaking in my hand, and saw footprints on the road, barefoot, leading away into the forest. Before I could react, my car doors slammed shut on their own. The headlights flickered, then turned off completely. In the darkness, I heard something breathing, slow, deep, and far too close. I ran, not toward the forest, but straight ahead, following the road that shouldn't exist. The air grew colder with every step, and I started seeing things. Abandoned cars half sunken into the ground, their doors open, their interiors empty, as if the people inside had simply vanished mid-escape. I finally saw lights in the distance and collapsed onto the asphalt, crying with relief. When I woke up, I was on the shoulder of the original highway, my car parked perfectly, engine cold. Police said I'd been reported missing for 6 hours. The GPS history showed no reroute, no side road, no detour. But when I checked my shoes later, they were caked in mud, and wrapped around my ankle was a single footprint burned into the skin, like something had followed me all the way back.